Shout out to our sponsor, Game Time Tickets, which is the best ticketing app out there because they take the worry out of buying tickets. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for any event that you want to go to, whether it's sports, comedy, music, or theater. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. With the Blazers having a ton of home games coming up the rest of December, you can use the beautiful Game Time app to get tickets to any of those matchups. A couple of fun matchups that I'm looking forward to is the Phoenix Suns with Yusuf Nurkic's return on December 19th, as well as Scoot Henderson versus Victor Wembanyama, which will take place on the 28th and 29th of December. If you want to see Wembanyama in person, Game Time has you covered. They're super easy to use. You can buy tickets in as little as 2 taps, and they have great deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even after the event starts. It's the place to find last-minute deals on tickets, and with the Game Time guarantee, you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code UPRISE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account and redeem code UPRISE. That's UPRISE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show presented by Game Time Tickets. We got a doozy to talk about today, Eric, as the Blazers lose at home to the Golden State Warriors 118-114. This was an eventful game. It looked like it was going to be another blowout. The Blazers come back from a massive deficit to tie the game. Cannot get over the hump, though, and there was a lot of questionable stuff in this game. I got my whiteboard up here. I listed 5 things that I thought were just extremely questionable, but we're gonna obviously have to lead with the final offensive possession where the Blazers declined to call a timeout to advance the ball down 2 after a Steph Curry missed free throw. Steph Curry tried to gift the Blazers the game. He didn't make a 3 for the first time in like 5 years in a game. I think it was 2018 was the last time he did not hit a 3 in a game. He did not hit a 3 in this game. He also missed a free throw at the end to put the Blazers in position to call a timeout, advance the ball down 2, and the Blazers elect not to. Before I get into that though, Eric, how are you doing? And what a game that was.
Yeah, obviously we can't listen to the post-game press conference right now. Yeah, I'm fine, but if that was Chauncey's answer, he needs to be fired immediately and can't be allowed to coach this ever again.
What was said in chat?
So he said that Sharp was going too fast, so he couldn't call a timeout. You call a timeout when you catch the ball in a rebound. That's already predetermined. Like, nothing that happens after you get the rebound or they make the free throw should matter. You either decided to call a timeout before the free throw or you didn't. And so he said that Sharp got going and he just let him go. But what, you're going to call a timeout while he's headed down the court with 3 seconds left? That makes no sense.
There's a bunch of stuff being said in chat. Somebody else in chat says, well, Billups just said the plan was for a timeout, but Ayton got rid of it too quickly.
But no.
So here's the thing. Here's the way the rule works. Let me just set the stage. Set the stage. So if you get a rebound or get possession of the ball in the backcourt, final couple of minutes, and call a timeout, that timeout you can elect to advance the ball and inbound it from your side of the court on the sideline. right? Like, that's how Dame hit his buzzer beater 3 against Houston in 2014. The Blazers called a timeout with .9 left and were able to advance the ball, and that's why they were throwing it in from there, right? But if you dribble the ball or pass the ball and then call a timeout, then the inbound is from wherever the ball was on the court, So if it's, behind the half-court line where Sharp caught it, they would be inbounding from behind the half-court line on the side. So one of two things happened, right? Either Chauncey was cool with that, or Deandre Ayton got the rebound and passed the ball way too quickly. And either this is on Chauncey, but also it might be on Ayton too.
Listen though, Ayton got subbed in for that free throw. Why even make that sub with Curry at the line? You're not expecting him to miss. So Ayton had just come from the sideline. If Chauncey didn't tell him as soon as you catch the ball in a rebound, you call timeout, that's on Chauncey too.
100%.
I can't blame Ayton for that. Anyone in the game should have been, if he makes it, timeout. If the ball comes off and you get the rebound, you immediately call timeout. That's all Chauncey has to say. And if he didn't say that, he's a freaking moron and he shouldn't be coaching in the NBA. That's like one of the most basic things ever. If there was more than 6 seconds, I could maybe see, like if there was 10 to 15 seconds, maybe you play it out and try to catch him off guard. 6 seconds is not enough time to do that.
Absolutely not, because Sharp didn't have any option other than to shoot an extremely tough pull-up 3 or try and drive into traffic, which he did, and got called for a charge. He had no teammates up there with him. That's why you call a timeout, advance the ball, so you have multiple options. You can set something up, especially when you're only down 2, right? Like, it makes no sense to not call a timeout in that situation. So,
Chauncey can call a timeout from the sideline, too. So why is he yelling for a timeout as soon as Ayton catches the ball?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm very confused because nothing adds up with that final play. Nothing adds up. And that's why the comments that Chauncey makes are extremely interesting to me. Could it be as bad as he told Ayton when he was subbing in the game? As soon as you catch a rebound, you call a timeout, and then Ayton didn't? I mean, maybe. Then that's absolutely horrible on Ayton's part. I mean, but I don't know what.
There was like almost a full second before he caught the ball and he was looking for someone to throw it to. Any one of those guards should have turned towards the refs and called timeout while Ayton still had the ball if that was the case.
Yeah, so Chauncey deserves the blame for this. No idea what happened there. Very confused about what was going through Chauncey's head, what he told Ayton when he subbed into the game. I mean, you got to take some accountability for that. I mean, my goodness, man, I've talked about this in previous postgame shows where late game situational stuff Chauncey is horrible at. He has never proven to be good in late game situations. This might be the worst late game situational mistake of his career. Now, of course, they might have missed the shot, whatever. You can say this, you can say that, but you got to give your team the best chance there if you're the coach. Not calling a timeout there is absolutely ridiculous. It's comically bad. It's comically bad. But we lose all sorts of close games because I don't know, like, it's always something where we do something wrong from a coaching standpoint. We have the wrong guys in, our offense completely stagnates. Just silly stuff, and this is just another in a long line of situations where you can look at Chauncey and say, man, does that guy know how to coach in close games? Because under him, the Blazers have lost a ton of close games. They've blown a ton of second half leads. It's extremely frustrating. I don't trust him situationally at all. This just kind of put the nail in the coffin in that regard, because he might be the only coach there whose team doesn't call a timeout. I even think the Detroit Pistons, Monty Williams, would have been, with how bad they are, he could have gotten it through to them, or he would have chose to get it through to them that, yeah, you get a rebound here down 2, call a timeout, advance the ball, give yourselves a chance. So, just a ridiculous call, man. Chauncey, I thought this was maybe his worst coached game of the year before this. Like, I was already ticked off at Chauncey before this play for some of the stuff in this game, and this just absolutely sealed the deal, man. Like, I'm out on him. You cannot have a coach if you want to be good, if you want to win games, right? You cannot have a coach that doesn't know how to do things properly late in games.
Okay. a couple things I want to address with Chet. One is this idea that they're trying to play fast. His answer proves that that's not the case because he was saying he was going to call a timeout, but then they got going or in through the ball. So he absolutely did not want the team to go, or like he didn't tell them a timeout. Like the communication was not there. So however you want to break it, it's Chauncey's fault. Like I don't.
You have
understand
to have your team prepared there. Yeah.
Why you can't understand that, and also in a situation where he misses the second free throw and you get the rebound, it's a 2-point game. You want to call a timeout and set up a play. Then you have all kinds of options. You have the whole floor. You can do a 2 or a 3. It doesn't matter. Like you can go for the win or whatever.
And if you miss the shot, if you get a shot off quick enough because you advance, you can play the foul game. At that point, they're getting a shot. They get a charge with 0.3 left or 0.6 left or whatever it was. So you're taking time, unnecessary time, bringing the ball up the floor, and then you don't have options. So not only did you put yourself in a tough spot, you also wasted 5 seconds just bringing the ball up the court trying to, advance it instead of calling a timeout and advancing it without taking time off the clock. So you also don't have the time to get a putback. You don't have the time to play the foul game after it. There are so many reasons why you call a timeout there and advance the ball. And I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like that where a coach doesn't call a timeout in that situation.
So apparently he wanted Sharp to learn, the young fellow to learn. How is he supposed to learn?
Learn what?
Getting the ball. He learns from setting up a play and executing the play. If you want Sharp to learn, call a timeout and set up a play for him to get the last shot then. Like, I don't understand. Like, to me, okay, his answer proves that he doesn't know what he's doing. If he would have said, I wanted a timeout there, they didn't call it, and we just had to go with it, that's fine. But to say they got going and then, I couldn't call a timeout then or whatever, like, and then I wanted the guy to flip, maybe if he makes the free throw, then you run out, like, I guess inbounding the ball, you have 6 seconds, you can kind of get someone streaking down the court, you might be able to set up a play. But why substitute Ayton then if you were expecting him to make the free throw? Why substitute Ayton in that situation? He's not gonna hit a 3 for you. So why not have all guards in the game then if you're planning on inbounding the ball and going? So it makes no sense. This guy is trying to put the excuse on someone else, on these young players. Like he has, his whole system is so complex, no one ever gets it. Yeah, no freaking kidding, dumbass. It's because you don't know what you're doing.
This is the type of stuff, Eric, that loses the locker room, okay? There's already been one incident this year where he probably lost some goodwill with the locker room, and that's when he basically cussed out Matisse Thybulle and Jeremy Grant for laughing when they're down 20 on the bench saying, what the F is so funny? Right? But yet Chauncey does the very same stuff. As a player, if your coach is getting on you for something like that, but he does the same thing when we're down 20 where he just sits there and laughs and claps and looks like a goofball, then what does that say to you as a player? That you're held to a standard that he won't even hold himself to. Okay, so that was the number one incident that would have lost goodwill in the locker room. Number two...
He laughed at the end of this game too, by the way, as people are pointing out in chat.
Number two is... basically putting your young player in an impossible situation and then blaming him for it when the common sense thing is you call a timeout in that situation. He made a terrible call and put Shaedon Sharpe in an impossible situation and then afterwards is going to freaking blame him for it? Are you kidding me? We're going to have to listen to his press conference because we're just going based off of what was said in chat, but you can't put that on Shea at all. That's an impossible position. He's ahead of everybody. Everybody's behind the half-court line with about 2.5 seconds left, and Shaedon Sharpe is having to run full speed just to get the ball in a position where he might have a chance at a shot. All the defenders are running at him because there's not enough time left for him to even pass anyone the ball, and everyone, as I said, is behind him, half-quarter back. So what the hell is he supposed to do? What What the hell is he supposed to learn from being put in that situation? That's just one of the most stupid things I've ever heard, bro. If that's really what he's saying.
If the plan was to call a timeout, then it wouldn't even be like, okay, maybe in the timeout, like, or if there was like a play design, maybe he's like, I want Sharp to get the ball and I want to see what this guy can do or whatever. But he already admitted that wasn't the plan. He said Ayton was supposed to call a timeout or whatever, and he passed. So, and then he let Shaedon go. Like, so it wasn't even supposed to happen with Shea. And now he's trying to say because they didn't execute what he wanted to happen, that Shea just like was supposed to do it. Like, I don't. If we're gonna trusted his young star, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, dude. Like, that's so dumb. And Mike keeps saying in chat, sorry, Mike, but you keep saying, Sharp got a good look. What do we want? What do we want? He got a good look. He didn't even get a shot attempt, technically. Yeah. He got an offensive foul.
Because he was going too fast to try and get the ball in position to get a good shot. He was going friggin' 100 miles an hour, full speed, as fast as he can. It was one of the easier charges to take because of how much he had to hurry the ball up the court, and he was going to have to be the one to take the shot because he had no other options. So sitting here saying you like the call because it shows trust in your young star, what the hell are we talking about? There's 6 seconds left, you get a rebound, pass it to him with 5 seconds left, and he has to try and push it full court ahead of the entire pack when there's a couple defenders back. Like, it just doesn't make any sense at all, man. And here's the problem, is people will try and make excuses no matter how blatantly dumb the situation is, right? And if they work for the team, I understand. Fine. Okay? I understand that they work for the team, they work for the org, like, they're gonna side on, optimism and, like, trying to understand where Chauncey's going with it. But we also got a comment in chat that says, people, relax. We are trying to tank while being entertained. We aren't winning a ring. We are stacked on picks. We're going for more. We are losing on purpose. Relax. Bro, that is such BS. You don't throw your own player under the bus situationally on the court and then make comments about you wanted him to learn from a situation that's impossible to learn from, impossible to come through in order to purposefully lose. And if we're tanking, and it's all about the future, and at this point we're tanking, then why the hell didn't Scoot Henderson play more minutes?
Yeah.
Why that's something else we got to talk about in this game, but we are not tanking right now. What are we tanking for? There's like 6 potential prospects that could be the number 1 pick. We're already 6-18 while trying to win games. We don't need to try and tank. We suck. We don't... 6-19, probably going to be 6-25. Like, we suck. We don't need to try and tank. We don't need to make blatantly dumb decisions like that and then say, oh, we want Shane Sharp to learn from that.
Plus, in order to lose games. Because we have their pick, so we want them to lose. But Steve says, Steve J, again, why didn't Sharp call a timeout with 4 seconds when he gets the ball? Because then you can't advance it. So we'd have to take it out and go full court with 4 seconds. If you call a timeout with 6 seconds, you get to advance to the front court. So that's why.
You would have literally wasted 2 seconds just to inbound the ball further away from your own hoop.
And Tori, before all this stuff happened at the end, we haven't even talked about whether it was a charge or not, or the ball that goes off of Curry's foot and somehow is off us, that can't be reviewed. But the last 4 minutes of this game, I was sitting there thinking, why the heck and what the heck did Malcolm Brogdon do to deserve to finish this game? What did he do in this game to deserve to finish this game? And why the heck is Scoot only playing 22 minutes or whatever he played? Why was Scoot not in? Scoot actually had a really good game today, I thought. And we didn't finish with him. We finished with Malcolm Brogdon in the game. Not even we need stops. We're losing the game. We're trying to come back. We don't put in Tamani to get defensive stops or anything like that. We put in freaking Malcolm Brogdon. Once again, nothing against Brogdon, but to watch that play out and then to still have people say, what do you think they're doing? They're trying to lose on purpose. Bull crap. They wanted this game. They tried to win this game. They absolutely are trying to win these games. Jeremy Grant's getting a ton of shots. They're trying to push Ayton as much as possible. They are playing Thibault a bunch. They're playing Brogdon as much as possible. And it just does not work trying to play 3 young guards and a vet guard all 20 plus minutes and then 2 of them like 30 plus minutes. Like, this does not work. And if you think they are trying to lose these games, it would not play out that way. If we lost at the end because Scoot didn't call a timeout and ran the floor, I would not be mad at Scoot Henderson. I would still be mad at Chauncey Billups.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Jeremy Grant was the Blazers' best player today. If they're trying to lose games, why did Jeremy Grant play 41 minutes today? Please try and explain that if you think Chauncey is coaching to purposefully lose games. He's not. He's not. We got to stop saying, oh, he only sucks because he's trying to suck on purpose. We got to stop giving him that excuse, because if he was trying to lose on purpose, Jeremy Grant would not have played 41 minutes tonight when he was by far the best offensive option for this team. But, I mean, here's the thing. It's like, you're losing all these games. You're losing all these games, Eric. Okay? 6-19, right? So in a season like this, sure, value development. That's what we said going into the season. This season is about development, okay? For that reason, you should play Scoot Henderson more. But if you're trying to win games, they probably should have still played Scoot Henderson more. Literally on both fronts, trying to win or trying to develop. Tonight, Scoot Henderson deserved more minutes because he came in and had maybe his best half of the season. He had 10 points in the first half. He only played 10 freaking minutes. The hell are we doing when we're 6-19, losing game after game after game? We got our 3rd overall pick who struggled to start the season. Now all of a sudden he's finding his confidence. He's finally starting to show us the player that we thought we drafted with the 3rd overall pick that we moved on from Damian Lillard for. And in the first half, when he's our best player, in my opinion, in the first half, we play him 10 minutes. I understand subbing him out after a 10-minute stretch because that's a lot of minutes in a row, but he gets subbed out with 6 minutes and 41 seconds left in the second quarter. We don't sub him back in the rest of the half. Oh, that's the 3rd quarter. Okay, let me find it. Second quarter. We subbed him out with 8:22. It's even worse, Eric. We subbed Scoot Henderson out with 8:22 left in the second quarter. He sits on the bench for the final 8:22 after 10 points in 10 minutes. What the hell are we doing? Wasn't in foul trouble. There was absolutely no reason for it whatsoever. If you want to say they were trying to win games, well, Scoot Henderson was keeping us in it in the first half. He was great. If you're saying they're trying to develop, well, develop freaking Scoot Henderson. Makes no sense. It pisses me off because it's just directionless coaching and it's just clueless. And just stupid, man. Like, we talk about like maybe Chauncey's good for development, but you run with Scoot, with him finding his confidence and playing the way he was in the first half. You let him build off that. You don't cut it short and sit him for 8.5 minutes
when we're gonna back in a couple minutes. Like, give him a breather and come back.
We're probably gonna lose the game anyway. We've lost like, out of our last, what? Let me do the math. Like 21 games, we've lost 18 of them? Stupid. Stupid. Pisses me off, man.
So we got, the all-year excuse maker, RWNW3. Brogdon a vet, need vets. You want to be the Spurs or Detroit. And then we got Hobbs saying, I don't get the Chauncey hate. Look at Detroit. Look at the Spurs. 2 of the better coaches in the league, and they can't get close. They can't get close to a win. I got news for you guys. We're just as bad as those teams, and we're trying to win. We're unlike them. We are actually playing our vets and trying to win. We're only 2 games better than the freaking Spurs. Like, do you know how sad that is? Do you know how many games in a row they lost, and we're only 2 games better than them? Like, we suck just like those teams. So, like, quit trying to say we're not trying to be those teams, because we are in that same boat. We've been a lottery team for 2 years, and it's about to be a 3rd year. We suck. And we're not a good team. And you can have bets on the team, that's fine. But you don't want bets that you're playing 20-plus minutes while you have 3 absolute guys that you think are your future and are going to be studs. You don't have a fourth vet that you give minutes to at those positions. You have your vets either at other positions, or you have him be a point guard that does not need to come in and play and take time away from developing those other players. And I don't get any other scenario.
We are rocking up until the final 4 minutes of each game. That's why we make substitutions and take hot players out, so we lose. Take Scoot out when he's hot, we lose the game. Why don't we take out Jeremy Grant then? Bro, like, it doesn't apply. It's literally Ant plays 36 minutes, Grant plays 41, right? Like, that's our two best offensive players. Ant had it rolling. He didn't get taken out of the game late. It was literally only Scoot who was playing well, who gets his minutes cut. Like, doesn't get subbed back into the game because we want to play Malcolm Brogdon 27 minutes. Malcolm Brogdon wasn't even playing as good as Scoot was. So that's the thing, is Scoot's development is so imperative for this franchise. We aren't trying to play the future game and tank. Not in this draft. In a game like this too, we own the Warriors pick. We beat the Warriors, their pick gets better for us. So why would we be trying to tank this game? Like, stop trying to come up with excuses and not making logical sense because you're trying to excuse what this coaching staff or team is doing. It's silly. The Scoot situation is pissing me off, man. Like, you gotta play him more than that when he's playing like this. This was his third good game in a row. He's finally starting to show you what you invested in so heavily. They spent a top 3 pick in a good draft on this guy and replaced their best player in franchise history with him. They are 6-19, saying, what, do you guys want to be the Spurs or the Pistons? What, 2 games worse than we already are? What's the difference? What is the difference? And that's the thing, is those guys value their development. Those teams have the long-term vision. I mean, maybe not Detroit because they're a mess and apparently want to trade for Tobias Harris, but the future is what's in play. If you're trying to win the game, you play Scoot more. If you're trying to develop for the future, you play Scoot more. One or the other. Like, the fact that you can't pick either in a game like this regarding Scoot's playing time is ridiculous. And then, when you're trying so hard to win the game, you don't call a timeout with 6 seconds left is ridiculous. The first half, our pick-and-roll defense was, like, stuck between schemes. It was actually quite comical in the first half. The Jabari challenge. We wasted a challenge. We could have had the ball back off of that play where Jeremy Grant chased down Steph Curry and hit the ball out off him. We could have challenged that, except Chauncey wasted a challenge on Jabari committing an illegal screen, like the type of play that never gets overturned and you never really see coaches challenge because it's just like
any contact that's not overturned. It's like minimal contact, they can't overturn it. Awful
play to challenge on, and we lose our challenge. And I think a lot of people didn't realize that he actually challenged that play.
Yeah.
Because people were saying, why didn't he challenge at the end? Why didn't he challenge at the end? He lost his challenge off that Jabari call on a play that you're never supposed to challenge. You don't challenge that play. So he wasted a challenge on nothing. And this is after all season where I feel like we get shafted by the refs and he just swallows his challenge. It doesn't challenge enough. But this game, he wins one challenge. The first challenge was good. It was on a Scoot and one in the first half. Cool, good job, Chauncey. You won a challenge. Nice. You actually challenged in the right situation. Good job. He got a little too overconfident and then wasted it on some bull crap, and we don't have it at the end when we hit the ball off Steph. Like, there's just numerous things that lead up to a result like this. I'm out on Chauncey, man. What does he do well? Somebody please tell me what he does well. Because what we've heard, Eric, is they play hard for him. Look at this year. They're finally playing hard for him. You can't even really say that about the last, 4 games. All of a sudden, the effort looks minimal. And at times, you'll see it. Like, Scoot plays hard. Thibault tries to get his steals, whatever. But even that's declining. So what is he doing for this team right now, man?
I don't know. But real quick, Hobbs says, I watch you guys all the time. Not trying to be a dick, but I like the job Billups has done this year. We're close to turning that corner. And that's totally fine, Hobbs, if you want to think that way. That's totally cool. If you still think Chauncey is doing a good job of developing players and all that, That's totally your right to feel that way. You think he could turn the corner. I feel like for Torrey and I, we're going to judge him based on how he's coaching. And he might be doing a great job with development, but if you're not good enough in actual situational coaching, that makes a huge difference to some of these young teams. And when you start to win, if we start to win at some point, I just don't think you can with a coach that is so bad in situations like tonight. And then Davis Johnson says, "You guys are so obnoxious sometimes. I just want to watch some Blazer content and not have the team berated every episode. It's exhausting. Talk positive for once."
Are you trolling, bro? Are you trolling? We could come out and not score a point and lose 200-0, and you could still say that, bro. I mean, come on, man. We're 6-19. We blow a game late situationally like this. We're cutting Scoot's minutes when he's playing well. The pick and roll defense is a mess. Like, there's so much that went wrong in this game. Like, you have some players that can play and score in ISO. Cool, good job for them. We can talk positively about Jeremy Grant tonight. We can talk positively about Scoot. We can talk positively about it in the second half after a first half where he struggled. We can talk positively about the players, but my goodness, nothing positive to say about Chauncey, and that's just the truth. I'm not going to sit here and make up positive things after he coached a game like this.
Yeah, and also, I mean, okay, we're never going to base our content on what someone like you comes in here and tells us what we're supposed to talk about. We are always going to keep it real and talk about what we want to talk about and what's bugging us. And since we started Blazers Uprise, this team has not given us much to be positive about. And Tori and I promise you this, we are never going to sit here and just make excuses and try to do what the Blazers broadcast does and just frickin' sugarcoat everything. Like, why would you want to listen to us if we want to do that? Like, oh yeah, Chauncey, oh yeah, good decision not to call a timeout. Yeah, it was so close. We almost got it. Good job, guys. Like, what? That's not interesting to listen to. And there's plenty of other content. Go look at any actual credentialed Blazer media. They're all cookie cutter, very buttoned up, never criticize the team. They all will take care of you if that's what you like. There is no problem with that. There is a market for that, and there's plenty of places you can go to for that kind of always positive. Nothing is ever wrong. It's never anyone's fault. There's no analysis. It's just, oh, they tried their best. Okay, like, you can get that other places. Don't tell us to come in. Don't come in here and tell us that we should be like that, because that's not how we've, one, built our community or built our platform, and two, like that, I'm not going to sit up here and lie to our audience and make stuff up just because I want to remain positive. I'd be positive if there's positive things to talk about.
Exactly. If this team was 19-6 instead of 6-19, we'd be super positive. Just go watch back the post-game streams from like game 13, game 14-ish from last year when we started 10-4. We were
not
very.
Even that, go look at game 6 this year. Like, we were positive. We win 3 in a row. We're positive. Like, whatever.
I've been the one preaching patience with school all year. Like, a lot of these losses, we come up here and like, there's been a couple where we've been freaking positive after a loss because there's good development, right? We said this season's all about development. We set the standard. This season, for us, is about player development. So that's why it pisses me off when you see a guy like Scoot get his minutes cut when he's playing really good in the first half. That's why it pisses me off when you put Sharp in an impossible situation and expect him to learn from it, apparently. Like, it's very on par with the standard that we set. So I absolutely agree with you. And, like, as far as the previous comment went about, like, liking the job that Chauncey's done because we're, like, close to turning a corner, here's the thing. When you lose a bunch of close games, it'll always seem like they're close to turning a corner. But if there's reasons why you can't pull out close games, then those need to be looked at. And if you can't pull out close games, you will never turn the corner. And the problem is, based on almost 2.5 seasons of Chauncey Billups as head coach, I don't think he's good situationally late in basketball games. We lose a ton of close games where there's a play or two or a lack of a challenge or the offense is super stagnant. We don't score the final 5 minutes. There's so much that happens late in close games that has us scratching our heads on post-game shows. So that's the thing if we lose a bunch of close games, it'll always seem close. It'll always seem like we're about to turn the corner. But at this point, I don't trust them to win close games because I don't trust Chauncey to coach in close games. And that is a problem.
At every stream, we get the same people that come in here and say, well, what you can have the best coach ever. What is he doing with this roster? Or what, like, Pop's just not winning with the Spurs. Yeah. And,
it's not based on anything that happened in the game today. Yeah.
Okay. The Spurs aren't bad because of coaching. They are bad because they don't have a lead ball handler that can create shots and take over a game. And they don't have someone who can get Wemby the ball consistently when he's open. Like every game they have like lob opportunities to Wemby and they don't pass it to him very often. And there's some stuff going on there. But as Eric Olson said, it could be that the game's passed him by. He's old now and maybe he just doesn't have what it takes to do a rebuild, and maybe he's better off with a good roster and not a rebuild. There are coaches that are good with good rosters and bad with bad rosters. But I promise you that this year it's one of two things. They either are trying to win and development is not a priority, or they're trying to develop and winning's not a priority, right? Like you can win while developing. Sure, if you start winning, that's great. That's like the best of both worlds, right? If you're developing and you win. So my whole thing is if it was that, it's fine. If we're playing Scoot, Sharp, Simons, and letting them figure it out on the court, great. If we lose because of that, that's great. And I will not blame Chauncey as much if he's doing that. If he's playing Jeremy Grant 41 minutes and Malcolm Brogdon in clutch when he hasn't done much the entire freaking game, why, what are we doing? Like, it doesn't make sense. I don't care who the coach is. That doesn't make sense. If you're rebuilding, it doesn't make sense. If you're not rebuilding, it doesn't make sense because we're not even winning these games, right? So it doesn't make sense to tank and not develop guys, and it doesn't make sense to not tank and not develop guys. So whatever we're doing this season hinges on development, and to not play Scoot more than 22 minutes when he was your prized offseason draft pick and like your whole future is based on him after trading Dame, it does not make any sense. And so I don't understand why we can't be critical of a coach who continuously shows us that he messes up and doesn't know what to do in certain situations. And he doesn't know how to fix our problems either.
Yeah, I mean he hasn't proven himself. He hasn't proven himself in any regard. Okay? To me, he's starting to prove himself as somebody that can't make the right calls situationally late in games. And you can always sit there and make excuses if you want to. It's what I said on a previous post-game show. If you want to find excuses for the organization, for the GM, for ownership, for a coach, you can always find an excuse no matter what if you want to. The problem is when you want to. That's the problem. Okay? Me and Eric, we just try and watch what goes out on the floor and then talk about it. It's that simple. It's not, coming on post-game show. We're not sitting here before we go live like, Eric, man, like, how do we make an excuse? People are criticizing Chauncey for this. How can we make an excuse for that, right? If we disagree, we'll disagree. There's been times where me and Eric have argued where I've taken Chauncey's back in situations where I think he was getting unfair flack because some of it is a little hard to judge and could be a couple different things, right? But in the end, like, there's no excuse for not calling a timeout there. There's no excuse for not playing Scoot more minutes. There's no excuse for challenging the Jabari foul. You just don't challenge that. Like, when I found out they were challenging that call, I just, like, groaned, because that's the type of call that doesn't get overturned. And there was obviously some contact. You could see it live. And it wasn't like Thibault even made the shot, right? He didn't make that shot. Mm-hmm. So, if I recall correctly, so situationally, it didn't even make sense to take the risk, right? Challenges are about risk versus reward, okay? If he made the shot, the reward, if they don't call the foul, like, then it counts, then it's more rewarding if you get the challenge right. But there wasn't enough reward to take the risk on that sort of challenge. And then there was a play down the stretch late that would have been an obvious challenge at the end of a game where the ball seemingly went off Steph Curry. I mean, there's just no excuse for a number of different things. Like, I thought the offense was very stagnant in this game. You just kind of run everything through Jeremy Grant, and he comes through for you, 11 for 19, right? Like 6 assists, 7 rebounds, 30 points. Like, this was maybe the most complete, well-rounded game Jeremy Grant's played all year. Ant got going there late. But I thought in the first half, like, we really struggled offensively. We had 49 points in the first half. We got going there in the third and the fourth because Ant got going and Grant got going. But the entire offense, for the most part, is just like, give the ball to Grant, give the ball to Ant, get out of the way. They'll make something happen on their own. I thought in the first half with Ant struggling, like, we should have started running him off the ball a little bit more. Should have maybe adjusted. You know, if he has it going to start the game, sure, put the ball in his hands. If he's struggling to start a game, run him off a curl, run him off a screen. When he came back the first couple of games, I thought we did a good job running him off screens. I don't remember him getting a good shot, like, running off a screen in this game. I thought we should have worked him off the ball a little bit more to try and get him more space from his defender, because defenses are going to load up on Anthony Simons. And the Golden State Warriors loaded up on Anthony Simons. He made some good plays out of it, had 7 assists, right? Like, he's passing the ball pretty well right now, in my opinion. But in the first half, it basically became, there was a stretch there where he just started trying to force his own offense, but the defense was loading up on him, and it was all him trying to go at a loaded defense with the ball in his hands already. Instead of working him in off the ball. So there's a lot of things with the offense that is not excused by the roster, systemic stuff. The defense in the first half, Eric. We're going to have to talk in depth about that maybe a little bit later, but I thought the defense in the first half, like what we were running, defense was so out of sorts, especially pick and roll defense in the first half, especially in the second quarter. 38 points to Golden State, and it's not like Steph Curry was cooking.
Somehow worked on Curry, though. That's the funny part. Charan Kwan says, you guys complain when Blazers lost games, but you guys hope for good draft picks. Okay, so
we don't complain about losses. We complain about things that happen. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. And so people try to act like we're playing both sides. But I don't want to speak for you, Tori, but I'm pretty sure you feel the same way. We do not want to win games or try to win games because we have vets on the roster or guys who aren't in the long-term plans are playing clutch minutes and like getting us victories or whatever that ruin our draft position. We want them to rebuild correctly and develop primarily Scoot and get him sped up as fast as possible, not literally because he needs to slow down and has to do a better job, but we need to get him like comfortable as quickly as possible. And to me, he needs reps to do that. And so I want them to bottom out, yes, but if they try to bottom out and start winning games because Scoot's just that good and Anthony's that good, I'm not complaining that we're not getting good draft picks, especially in this draft, because like it's actually helping us long term, possibly. Like, it might hurt us a little bit because we don't get as high of a draft pick, but it's actually helping because we are seeing how good someone is developing throughout the season. And if we win because of playing Malcolm Brogdon, like if we would have came back and won in the clutch tonight because like Brogdon hits a shot or whatever, like cool, we won the game, great, But like, what is that doing to Scoot's confidence that he only plays 22 minutes when he probably is sitting there feeling like he had a really good game and was playing well when he was in there?
You build off it, yeah.
And he had some really good defensive moments in this game as well. And so like that's what my thing. I thought the team, and this is a front office thing, and that's why we're so hard on Joe Cronin and why we didn't want win now players in a Dame trade. And if we did get win now players, we wanted them to be flipped again and just keep flipping win now players until you maximize those assets. So later on, when you need those win now players, you have the assets to go and get them. But right now, I don't think you need those players. And you just let Tumani, you let Scoot, you let Sharp and Ant, obviously. Heck, throw Chris Murray out there or whatever for some minutes and let them see if they give you anything. And if they start beating the Warriors and stuff, then great. Like, that's fine. But like I just don't get losing all this stuff and then not doing it that way as well.
Yeah, kind of says, Scoot will get his minutes. We have 55 games left. Please stop. Here's the thing. If in a game like this, if he only plays 22 minutes, what makes you think next game will be different or the game after that? Because something like this shows me that Chauncey doesn't have his head in the right place, right? He's, in his mind, he's going all out to win games. But it would have made more sense to try and win this game playing Scoot more minutes because Scoot was really good in this game. So his head ain't in the right place. What, he's just going to magically snap out of that? It's not like I've trusted this guy based on what he's done the past couple of years. So this is just further proof to me that he's not thinking about things the right way. I don't think he's magically going to snap out of that. And at some point we're going to tank probably, and Scoot's going to be given the reins, right? So sure, he's going to get his minutes, but I think in competitive games against a team, like Golden State with some talent around him, I think these are important reps. And reps at the end of the season with the tanking team are not the same as reps right now next to Anthony Simons, next to Jeremy Grant, next to DeAndre Ayton, whoever, right? So these reps like this, when he has confidence, when he's starting to build confidence, when he had a couple good games prior to this and had a good first half, is a great building opportunity to continue to build his confidence because he's starting to see the game the right way. And when you start seeing the game the right way, you want to give him ample opportunity to lock that in a way. So I don't like sitting here saying there's plenty of opportunities to get it right, so it's fine that we got it wrong. Because they're going to get it wrong in the future too. If Chauncey Billups approaches games the way he approached this one, I don't know what he was thinking, but you got to play Scoot more.
This is the problem too. Okay. We have the four guards, right? Outside of the starting lineup today, so the start of the first and the second quarter, or first and second halves, we are playing almost exclusively three-guard lineups. And we talked about this last post-game show. You have a center that's giving you absolutely nothing. He's giving you nothing on the defensive end. Like, it's like really sad how bad Ayton has been defensively the last couple games. And you're trying to make that work with a three-guard lineup that aren't necessarily great defenders. And then you're playing like Thibault out of position at the 4. And how many times did like Trace Jackson Davis or Kuminga or somebody like get in the paint and get an offensive rebound or something just simply because we had like Ant or Scoot or Sharp or whatever trying to guard the paint. And this is the problem. Like it's not necessarily that Brogdon is bad or hurting Scoot or whatever, but it's also affecting our defense and stuff. And it's affecting, I would much rather be having a bad defense because we're trying to work it out with Scoot, Sharp, and Ant to see if we could possibly get that defense. But at the end of the day, there's no like way to make it work with the guards as the roster is currently constructed, because we just do not have the size and athleticism and defensive acumen at the 4 and 5. And you can play guys out of position there, like Jabari at center and Thibault at 4, like we ran for a time, but that lineup just gets killed because we have no one to stop the ball. And then when we do, we have our 4-man's guarding the ball, so that leaves Jabari Walker and our 3 guards guarding the other 4 guys. So if we have our 4-man, like we do the entire game, on the ball, that's it's just destined to fail from the very beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about the defense. We're going to have to talk about Ayton. What were your thoughts on Ayton today? I'll let you go first because I have some strong words.
I mean, there was 2 plays in this game in particular. There was one on offense, I think, where the ball was dribbling out of bounds right next to him, and he just stood there and watched the ball go out of bounds. I have no idea why he didn't try to grab it. He could have easily grabbed it. And then there was one possession in the fourth quarter where they got like 3 offensive rebounds. And, and he was nowhere to be found on the glass. To be fair, Jeremy wasn't either. But, yeah. I mean, they controlled the offense. I don't know how many offensive boards they finished with, but in the fourth quarter when it mattered, they got a ton of offensive rebounds, and it was probably the difference in the game, losing by 4.
Yeah. Before I get into it, let me catch up on donos real quick. Shout out Brennan and McNabb, $2 donation. I think it was his first donation, so appreciate it, Brennan. And a shout out Jack M, $2 donation, says, have these Chauncey quotes been confirmed? Yeah, we're just going based off of what's in chat, so I'm not sure, but appreciate the donation, Jack.
We'll find out in a minute.
Yeah, I do want to.
What it's supposed to.
Yeah, I do want to touch on Ayton, though, man. I'm getting tired of the mid-range stuff. I know he can make a mid-range shot at a high clip for a mid-range shot, but there's so many opportunities when he catches the ball, and I feel like he has a great opportunity to just simply attack the rim and get fouled and get to the line, or finish, or both and get an and one, right? And he just elects to shoot a mid-range, right? And I talked about this. It's like Ayton, the only shots he'll shoot at the rim are the easy ones that are force-fed to him. And then you look at it like, man, he's shooting 80% at the rim. He's a dominant finisher, which is what we heard all year last year, because people would look at Jusuf Nurkic's finishing at the rim versus Deandre Ayton's finishing at the rim and say, we need a guy that can finish like Ayton, not a guy that can finish like Nurk. Nurk is too finesse. He doesn't finish strong enough. But Nurk tries to get to the rim. He catches the ball 12 feet out, and if he has a lane, he'll try and get to the rim. Sometimes he ends up off balance because of it and misses shots, but still, he shoots 60% at the rim, right? And that's not good because it's at the rim. The average is higher than that, right? But then Ayton shoots 50% on mid-ranges, and that's good for a mid-range because it's a mid-range, and we say, oh, look how well he shoots mid-range shots. He shoots 50% from there. And then, oh, look how good he finishes at the rim. He shoots 80% from there. That's better than both Nurkic's efficiency numbers from those ranges. So Ayton automatically is a better scorer, better player, right? But what people didn't take into account is that Ayton settles for middies way too much. I would rather have Nurkic going to the rim finishing at 60% than Ayton catching the ball and settling for a midi at 50%. Because at the end of the day, a 60% shot from 2 is going to be more efficient than a 50% shot from 2. And you're going to get to the line more, and you can potentially get their opposing big in foul trouble. There are so many situations where Ayton catches the ball 15 feet away from the rim, has a lane where he could attack the rim, especially given how athletic he is, and he doesn't. That's part of the reason why his finishing numbers look so good, is because he does not attack defense if defense is around the rim. He only takes the freebies. He only takes what's fed to him. Otherwise, it's almost always going to be a mid-range shot. There's a play where he spun and could have dunked it, and he made the shot, so whatever, it's fine. But there's a play where he spun into the paint, probably could have dunked it if he just went towards the rim, and faded away from 4 feet. He's just so freaking finesse. I'm getting tired of the mid-range shots when he has a lane to the rim and he could just attack. It's so frustrating for a player that big and that athletic to not use those gifts properly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think if he's hitting the mid range, it's fine, but that's like all he's done for like 15 games now, right? Outside of the games he missed, that's like all he's done is shoot mid range. Doesn't do anything else.
He avoids contact at all costs, is what code says, which is 100% true.
And if you're going to do that, I've been saying this since early in the season. If you're just gonna camp in a spot and shoot from an area, I'd much rather it be be a pick and pop 3-point shooter and just develop your 3-point shot to hit, 35% of your threes. And I'd much rather have that than have him do that, because at least then he's spacing the floor. Because this is the other problem, and we have not talked about it much this season. When your big man is always standing near the paint or in the paint from about 8 to 12 feet or so, it means that the paint always has both one of your guys that you have to operate around on a drive and an extra defender, always in the paint. So no matter who it is, Sharp, Ant, Scoot, when Ayton is in the game, if they get past their man, they also have to navigate around Ayton being right in their way like 90% of the time. And it's got to be somewhat frustrating, because why not just go down and stand on the baseline and you can get those little dump passes in those situations and dunk it? Like, I don't understand why he's choosing to camp out in the middle of the court instead of underneath the hoop where he could get easy baskets all day on those drives. With the way Ant and Scoot and Sharp even have been driving lately, there's no one that can really stay in front of him, and they have to collapse the defense. So there's got to be plenty of opportunities for a big man with Ayton's finishing around the hoop to get easy baskets around the hoop. So, I mean, I just don't get why he doesn't camp around the hoop and just wait for the dump-off passes.
Yeah. Yeah, how many times do we see him finish a dump-off pass? It's so rare. It's so
maybe
rare.
Once a game at the most, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't today. I mean, he caught a lob. He had 4 shots. One of them was a lob. Nice, cool, great. Love to see it.
That was a good play, actually. It was a design play to get Scoot downhill, and Scoot made a nice read, kind of a high pass, but Ayton did a nice job of catching it, and he didn't really dunk it, but I don't even know if he meant to make, I think he got lucky that he made it, but yeah, that was a really nice play design to get Scoot coming off a curl, going downhill, and having Ayton as a roll man to the hoop. But that's exactly my point. That worked. We got an easy basket off of that, and then the next 10 plays, he's just standing around the free throw line, right?
Yeah. The other 3 shots were mid-range jumpers. One was pretty close, an 8-foot turnaround, that play where he rolled, got into the paint, spun back middle, and then faded. But that was a play where he goes up strong. He probably easily finishes that. There was no need for him to fade like that. He made the shot, whatever. But it's just kind of indicative of the way he plays. The other 2, he had a tip dunk on a rebound.
Yeah. Ant drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. You're standing around the hoop. You get an easy basket because Ant collapsed the defense and he misses. And when you miss like that, it's going to come right off the front rim, and he's right there. So if he's just camping and it's around the hoop, I'm totally fine with that. But I don't understand why Ant's trying to drive, Sharp's coming off a curl screen, and all of a sudden he's running into Ayton, and he's got nowhere to go, or he can't get the ball because there's a bunch of crowd right there.
Yeah. In the first half, his pick and roll defense was awful. What they were doing in the first half, Eric, and I tweeted about this, they were basically playing Ayton at the level of the screen. They were showing him, but they weren't showing him and then recovering him once the guy got through the screen. He was staying there, right? But they weren't trapping and getting into the ball so the ball handler could pass the ball, right?
At least they didn't run drop, I guess. We got to give them credit for that, right?
I guess, but they weren't executing a scheme. So I tweeted this. I think I worded it pretty well. I said, it seems like Chauncey's trying different things, but when they play the big at the level of the screen, they don't trap or recover the big. So he doesn't get into the ball, but he also doesn't recover to his man. So he's just kind of in no man's land. It leaves the big open because he's not recovering to him. The pass is easy because there's no ball pressure. He's not going up onto the ball. And since he's lingering in the area, a lot of times it forces a switch because he's lingering near the ball, so the guy trying to get through the screen just has to stay with the screener. But the problem is, he wasn't getting up into the ball when they would have to switch. So a lot of times guys would come off and just be able to pull from three. How many threes were hit with him guarding the ball and like not giving enough ball pressure? If you're going to be a big that switches, if you're a good switchable big, you got to be able to get close enough to bother the ball handler to bother shots, right? Otherwise, it's like you could have the slowest guy. If he stands 15 feet off him, like, of course they're not going to beat him off the dribble, but they're going to have wide open threes. You got to try and take away both if you're going to switch as a big out onto the perimeter. The problem is, Ayton I don't think it was a design switch. I don't know what the scheme was supposed to be, but he wasn't trapping, he wasn't hedging them recovering, he wasn't showing them recovering, he wasn't switching up into the ball. He was basically just standing in no man's land on numerous pick and rolls in the first half. And I didn't understand it. There's no way that's the scheme. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way he's executing the scheme right, because there's no way Chauncey Billups, for as much as I criticize him, there's no way he wants Ayton playing things that perfectly bad. Like, he was playing pick and rolls so bad, it was, like, perfectly bad.
That was the other play I was trying to think of when I was talking about things that made me mad earlier. There was a play where Curry was dribbling the ball up the court, and Anthony was coming to guard him. And Ayton, there was no pick. His guy was nowhere near there. Ayton comes from, like, the other side of the court and just runs and, like, tells Ant, I got him, and starts guarding Curry. And, like, I was like, what? Like, why would you decide to go? Like, it wasn't a double team or whatever. He just, like, was like, no, I got him. And, like, okay? Like, what are we doing?
Made no sense. Ant looked confused. You could tell after the play, like, Ant was like, what the hell?
You noticed that one too?
Yeah.
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 I was like, what are you doing? Like, you just ran up and started guarding him. Like, if it was a screen or something and you switched, that's one thing. But, like, it wasn't even a screen. There was no one, another teammate around Curry.
This is the type of stuff that Devin Booker and Kevin Durant would get pissed off at Ayton about in the playoffs last year, and then when they got mad at Ayton started pouting. Ayton got in his feelings. So, yeah. But did you talk about the play where he, like, let the ball go out of bounds?
I mentioned that earlier.
I haven't gotten I haven't gotten a chance to talk about that. Bro, we hustle, tip a pass, it's going out of bounds, it's right at his feet. All he has to do is bend over and pick it up, and he lets it go. He just lets it go. He lets it go out of bounds. It was right there, literally at his feet. And he didn't even make an effort to pick it up. He didn't even have to freaking dive on it, Eric. He didn't even have to dive on it. He just had to bend over and pick it up. That was too much for him. Come on, man. We're paying this dude a max contract. What are we paying him a max contract for? To do what? He doesn't do anything. The boards, he was getting bodied by an undersized rookie second-round pick center in Trace Jackson Davis. On one possession, they got like 4 offensive rebounds because he has butterfingers if he gets his hand on the ball, but half the time, he's just getting bodied off the board, so he can't even get a hand on it because he's just getting pushed around. He's just getting pushed around like he's a guard, but he's a freaking 7-footer that loves to call himself dominating, okay? So rebounding, like, he's an average rebounder at best. His rebounding has fallen off. But at the start of the year when he was getting a lot of rebounds per game, a ton of them were completely uncontested. Contested rebounds, he's not a good rebounder. Defensively, we give up one of the highest rates of shots at the rim in the league and one of the best percentages at the rim in the league, right? You can say a lot of the shots at the rim, like, isn't Ayton's fault. Like, it's guys giving up dribble penetration, this and that. But, like, you would hope that if we had such a good rim protector, teams wouldn't be shooting like the 4th best percentage at the rim or whatever they're shooting, but that's what they're shooting. That's what they're shooting. So he's not really protecting the rim. Like, we give up a great percentage at the rim. So rebounding, rim protection, not really there. Offensively, like, he's just a role player at best, but he's an athletic 7-footer that just loves mid-ranges and will never take it strong and gets to the free throw line at an astronomically low rate. What does he do for a max contract? If he was making $15 million, I'd say, what is he doing to deserve $15 million right now? But he's making a max contract. What does he do? Eric, what the hell does Deandre Ayton do, man?
I mean, he grabs a few rebounds and hits a few mid-range shots. That's pretty much it. Doesn't set good screens.
Doesn't do that either, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love the play at the beginning. It was like maybe our third possession or something where he goes to dribble, like a dribble handoff, and he just hands it right to I forgot who it was, but someone on the Warriors, and they just go down and score.
He doesn't play hard. Like, he doesn't... He's... I'm going to lose my mind by the end of the season.
Billups' press conference is up.
Okay, maybe I just play it on my phone.
Okay.
Maybe I just do it that way. Because that's easier, because you can hear it live with me.
All right.
I mean, dude, I gave Ayton a chance, man. I mean, he was salary matcher in the Tamani Kamara trade for us. Tamani Kamara played some good defense, hit some threes today. 3 for 3 from 3 for Tamani. Did a good job on Steph Curry. Good job, Joe, on getting Tamani in that trade, because that's the only thing that saved your ass. Tamani was a throw-in, but at this point, might as well just flip it and act like Ayton was the throw-in. The problem is, man, I've just started dreaming up ways like maybe we could get off his contract without having to give up assets. But, dude, what team wants this guy on this contract that knows what they're doing? We're going to have to hope a team is really, really dumb, because he's not the answer at the center spot.
That's the key, and luckily for Joe Cronin, there are several teams that are dumb. Unfortunately, I am not sure if we're one of them or not. So,
yeah, that is the problem. My goodness. Okay. Here we go with Chauncey, man. Let's hear this thing.
Yeah.
Josh, throughout most of the game, you guys were switching pretty heavily. Do you feel like maybe you held on to that a little too long with the way they were kind of beating you guys up inside?
No, I was more concerned with Steph Curry and their three-point shooting, and thinking that if they shoot twos against us, we're gonna have a pretty good chance in the game, and not, them going to loonies. And obviously the young kid Jackson Davis played. He had a hell of a night. But it's just one of those type of things. You pick your poison against a team that's experienced like this. And there was, a couple times where I felt like, maybe I could have changed it up just briefly. But I really liked our switching defense in the game. I really did.
Last minute, Chauncey, you have the ball that looks like it goes off Curry, but they call it off for you guys. You have Shaden at the food, you get the rebound. Just how do you feel like that will last 45 seconds of the game away?
Well, Steph gets to the free throw line, and obviously, you're thinking he's not going to miss any of the free throws, but basketball happens, which is why I quick sub DA into the game for the rebounding purposes. And, naturally, I was already drew my play up. I was, rebound, let's go timeout. But we got it out quick, and once he passed it and we started attacking, really want to call a timeout at that point. You got him attacking. We was going to have to take it out back there. We couldn't really advance it at that point once the play started going. So I just wanted to just kind of let it play out. If Shea would have ever, broke the plane and stopped attacking, then I probably would have caught a quick one. But when he was on the move attacking, I said, let's let the young fella figure it out. I was comfortable with it.
Chauncey, obviously, the last, 2 plays.
Okay, so, wasn't showing confidence in his young star since, he wanted the timeout to be called, but for some reason did not seem to properly be able to communicate that to DeAndre Ayton, Eric. He subbed the dude in the game. It was literally just next to him.
Standing right next to him, yeah.
And somehow, they were not on the same page. How?
I mean...
How?
I mean, it's one of two things. He didn't tell Ayton, or like Ayton's basketball IQ is much lower than we even thought, because he got told 5 seconds before that he needs to get a rebound and call a timeout as soon as he catches the ball, and he couldn't even do that. Like, I think both are pretty devastating.
See, that's what at the start of the stream I was like, could it be possible that he told Ayton and Ayton just...
Well, I don't know, because he doesn't say... to me, I mean, why say you're going to let Sharp figure it out, but and why would you call a timeout with like 2 seconds left if he stopped advancing the ball? Like, that doesn't make sense. So we're gonna dribble the ball up the court. Like, we had a timeout to advance the ball, Chauncey. Yeah. I mean, I may think it's possible it's both. Like, Billups didn't say anything, and I think it's like the Lakers pick from New Orleans. They just assumed it wouldn't happen because there's a 93.9% chance that Curry's not going to miss that free throw, and I don't think they discussed it.
We're just such a mess, man. Like,
but why wouldn't he say we had a timeout called, but like they didn't call it when they got the rebound? He
subbed him in to get the rebound. So if you're subbing the dude in to get the rebound if he misses, why wouldn't you tell him what to do if he misses, though? Like, either way, somebody screwed up in such a monumentally horrendous way. I mean, in the end, it's comical either way. But either he subbed in Ayton to get a rebound without telling Ayton what to do if he got the rebound, or he told Ayton what to do if he got the rebound, and Ayton that completely went out his head 10 seconds later when he catches the rebound and immediately outlets it.
Well, Donnie has a good point in chat. If Billups does say, hey, I told DA to call a timeout, and he passed the ball and didn't call a timeout, did we lose him mentally?
Say that again?
If Chauncey calls DA out in the press conference saying, I just told DA to call a timeout and he passed the ball, so unfortunately I had to just let it play out, right? Does that then, is DA's mental state so fragile that they're worried about walking on eggshells around him?
I mean, I'm worried we already lost DA, so...
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true too, but yeah.
Like, I'm worried that kind of thing has already kind of happened. So, I mean, at this point, why not call him out? Like, if you already lost him, I mean, he, effort-wise, was rough all game long anyway. Like, the dude is obviously fragile. You cannot coddle that. You cannot pay a max contract to coddle that. Like, but that's the thing. The rest of this conference, a good reporter would say, so did you tell him to call a timeout if you got the rebound when you subbed him into the game? I would love to hear that as a question. We can play the rest of it.
Fake Kara Brown, whoever you are really, Detroit is not taking Ayton. They have Monty Williams. There's no chance Detroit is trading for them.
Why'd you say fake? What?
Oh, he said earlier, don't think I'm a girl. I'm on someone's account. And we had a bunch of people crying because they were about to simp on a girl being in chat. And,
chat, don't be simps. We're better than that. Oh, that's funny. Okay, that makes sense. I was confused. I was like...
Or
like,
just
where'd the fake come
log out
from?
and sign into your account, dude. So I
Oh,
have this from.
yeah. Maybe that's his girl, and he wants chat to simp for his girl. I don't know. I don't know
So-
what's going on here.
All right, so if they are coddling him or having to walk on eggshells around him, that's very similar to LaMarcus when he was here, at least the last couple of years he was here. But the difference is LaMarcus wasn't like a low IQ player, so like he was still fine, like because he was still a good player. It's just off the court you had to deal with some stuff. But I don't until like the season fell apart in 2015. I don't feel like LaMarcus really let it affect like making dumb decisions on the court.
Yeah, let's listen to the rest of this interview if you're
All right.
ready.
Yep.
What's your kind of process with that, with when to go to the monitor, when not to throughout the game?
Well, we have a process in place. One, first of all, I'm looking at it thinking that's the charge. That kid is one of the best in the league already at it, drawing charges. But I don't just trust me in my eyes. We have a process that, we have the little monitor behind the bench, and we talk about it at all times, and when all of us are saying the same thing, I say, oh, shit, it's a charge,
So for the early one on Jabari, when you took your second challenge, that's just like hey, we want the ball back.
Yeah, well, the one was a scoop. It was the earliest one. Remember, we ended up getting the and one, and then the second one with Bari, I really thought that it was minimal contact, on a play. I'm like, shit, we can get the ball back, but we lose that one. So that one was tough. But I really hurt myself early when I did do the scoop challenge. We ended up losing the timeout anyway, based on when I challenged it. But in a game like this, when you're struggling, you got a chance to get 3 points and you feel good.
Wait, what? I'm gonna let him finish explaining, but
what? Okay, just think about this, chat. This guy just said he was concerned about losing a timeout when he finished the game or didn't have his players call a timeout at the end and had a timeout.
Yeah, but he kind of hurt himself by overturning a charge into a 3-point bucket for us because they lost the timeout. What is he saying?
Not only did he get 3 points, but we still had a timeout at the end, so it didn't matter that he got a free 3 points. Or got
Hey,
3
but
points.
he used the timeout when we were down 4 with 0.3 seconds left, though.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, it's Casey Darnell. What's up, Casey, with a $2 dono? Says this is my main account. Okay, I recognize Casey. Oh, man.
Okay, no. Okay. That settles it in my mind. This is 100% on Billups. He does not know what the heck he's talking about. That's what happens when you mess up and you're trying to make excuses for messing up. It doesn't make sense what you're saying, and you just keep rambling about stuff and you make it worse. That's what's going on here. It's 100% on Billups.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'll play the final minute 20. I shall rewind 10 seconds. I'll play the final
Randy Powell says you lose timeouts at different points in the game if you have over a certain amount. Yeah, we know that. Like, that's not what we're saying, Randy.
Yeah. So I just don't understand him saying this at all. But
when I did do a scoop challenge, we ended up losing the timeout anyway, based on when I challenged it. But in a game like this, when you're struggling, you got a chance to get 3 points and you feel good about the challenge, you say, well, shit, let's just do it. I'll take the points, So, yeah.
So it was an in-the-moment decision at the very end when DA got the rebound to go no timeout?
Yeah, it was in the moment. It was in the moment because I was going timeout. I was going timeout for sure.
Did you lament not having a challenge with the Curry out-of-bounds player?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wish I had it. Definitely, I would love to have, in the moment, had that.
Obviously, you had the compressed timeline in the final couple of minutes, back and forth with or without challenge, not taking a timeout. But the first half, defensively, it looked like a lot like we saw the last game against Dallas, where the defense wasn't there. Was there a message to the guys at halftime? Kind of what was that? Because it looked like, again, two different teams.
It was, man. It was two different teams. And, I told our guys at halftime, I said, look, we're obviously struggling, but I can promise you this is the NBA and nobody's going to feel bad for you. If they can kick your ass, they will. We got to have some pride, man. And if not, I'll find a way to get some fire on the floor,
That's it. Anyway. All right. Well.
What? Okay. I was calling it. I was wanting a timeout. We wanted a timeout. Where's the? Well, why didn't they call timeout then? Where's the follow up to that? So the players just didn't call timeout, even though you wanted one.
This is what we got, man. Yep. No follow-up question like that. Yeah, so Chauncey wanted to go timeout. Apparently already had his next play drawn up for if they called a timeout. It would
have been really good, too.
Yeah, probably really, really good play, right? But the players, they just went, man. They just went. So then Chauncey just had to sit there and watch. But, like, if they stopped, then, then he could have called timeout. But they just went, unfortunately, and then they charged. So, what could Chauncey do, man? The players, they just went. So, sick, man. Like, you do not have control over your team, apparently, at all. How does the guy you just subbed in to get a rebound and not know that you want him to call a timeout? That's what I want to know.
Yes, twice, too, Taylor. Because the first question was like the same thing.
Yep. That's what I want to know. But, yeah. So that tweet doesn't say anything other than we just heard. Like, doesn't explain anything.
Yeah, well, the tweet makes it sound a little different than what he said, but I mean, I think once they don't call the timeout, you have to let them play it out. I don't think there's enough time to then call a timeout. So, yeah. I think letting it play out once they pass the ball is fine. Just, it's weird.
I gotta screen share this, dude. This is funny. This is actually really funny. I love this. Oh man, where's my screen share? I need to set up like a permanent screen share. Hold on. You want to read off that donation?
Yeah, IME's $5 donation. Thank you, man. Hey guys, been to your channel since the beginning of last year. Can you guys give your intuitive opinion on Ant's future for this team? In my opinion, they think Ant is the guy right now, at least in the short term. I think they're hoping at some point either Sharp or Scoot becomes better than Anthony, but as of right now, I think Anthony's looked at as their best player and their main piece moving forward, and they really like Anthony a lot. And just on a side note, I mean, Anthony's like a really good guy too, and really easy to root for, and really good in the locker room and all that stuff. So I'm just saying what they think of him. But yeah, that's.
Yeah, I love Ant. I think too much is made about his defense. I think people blaming him for the defense struggling lately are just confusing correlation for causation. Like, just because he came back and they've been struggling on defense lately does not mean he is the reason. There is a lot of other reasons, like, and Anthony shouldn't be responsible for your defense one way or the other. He's responsible for a big portion of your offense. That's what you got 8 other rotation players for, 8 other role guys to have the defensive side of the ball covered. And Anthony, he's not a good defender. I don't think he's quite as bad as some people act like, but that's what you got other players on the roster for. So thank you for your donation. Appreciate your first donation, and good question.
I would love to see Anthony when he's not having to guard like the other team's power forward or center.
Yeah, that's been a problem. He was guarding Sarge a lot in this game. Yeah, that's what switching does for you. Anyway.
And guys, just because someone is thought of as the best player or whatever doesn't mean things can't change, 1. And 2, it doesn't mean they don't have bad games. Like, he had a bad game the other night in Utah. Basically, the whole team had a bad game against Utah. And Anthony, he had some moments in this game, but he also lost control of the ball a lot and had some bad moments in this game. But one game doesn't mean someone's great, or one game doesn't mean someone's like not the answer or whatever. Like, it's just one game.
Yeah. Anyway, this is what I was laughing at earlier. These quotes they put up from Chauncey. Yeah. And then this one was...
That's from last year. That's funny.
Yeah. I hadn't seen that one before. I think I've seen this one before, but... Oh, man. Anyway, these are obviously fan-made. Those are funny.
So, someone asked... it was Dev asked, do you think there's a possibility of Chauncey getting fired this season or at the end of it? I'd be really surprised if they fired Chauncey during the season.
Same.
So, yeah, I don't think it's happening this season.
Yep. Same. Ready for Tankathon?
What is our staff doing, though? Like, what?
I don't know. We're a mess.
I wish we'd just clean house the staff. And if we're gonna stick with Chauncey, I think we need to.
Yep. Before we get to Tankathon, positives from this game: Jeremy Grant looks like a star. 6 assists too. You love to see him pass like that. 7 rebounds too. He actually filled up the stat sheet. Good for him. It was a great game, and maybe the Warriors are a team to trade for him and got a glimpse of what they could get. But at this point with Jeremy, between him, Ayton, and Brogdon, he's like the one guy I'm okay with bringing back going into next season. Like, he provides a skill set at a forward spot that offensively that I like. I just think you have to have a better rebounding center next to him and a different center. And if you get the right deal for him, like a great deal for him to cash in and get like a ton of future first or really good young prospects, etc., then you do it. But I don't think it's something where they need to necessarily be like aggressive and have to trade him like Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon, I think they have to trade. I mean, you just look at the minutes Scoot's playing in this game. So that's how I feel about that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Scoot, I mean, he's turning a corner, it feels like, Eric. Driving aggressively, but picking his spots better and when to drive. Actually reading the defense and then finishing strong. So,
man, it's night and day difference than a few weeks ago. When he gets to the rim, he's going strong at the rim, whether he's dunking or not. He always seems to be now attacking the glass or attacking the rim. And before it was almost like he became Nurkic, right? When he got near the hoop and was trying to flip it up from weird angles and off balance and all that kind of stuff. Now he's like picking his spots, and it's already very encouraging how quickly he's learning how to control his pace a little bit. And basically when he learns how to do that, it's going to be really tough for anyone to stay in front of him.
Yep. Last 3 games, in 27 minutes a game, he's averaging 16.7 points and about 5 assists while shooting, let me do the math, 18 for 40 from the field, which is 45%. And 3-point numbers aren't great, 4 for 12, but that's 33%. Like
I think you'll take that right now,
yeah. Yeah, you'll take that. Also getting to the free throw line about a little more than 3 times a game. He's made his last 10 free throws. He's made every free throw during the stretch, so that's good to see as well. And during the stretch, only, let's see here, 2.7 turnovers again. So the turnovers are down, especially today, 1 turnover in his 22 minutes. So that's good. So yeah, just turning a corner, like he had a rough first half last game, but I think you're going to start seeing more of a mixed bag, which is good because the start of the season it was all bad. Now he's still going to be inconsistent, but you just want to see him attack aggressively the way he's been doing, use his speed, which I thought he did in this game effectively, and then also playing with a change of pace when he needs to. There's times when he needs to turn on the burners. There's times when he needs to slow down, change pace. It's just reading the game and figuring out what to do in certain situations, and he's definitely improving at that. So with Scoot, just hope that he continues to improve. He works his ass off, so I'm not worried about him and his slow start to the season. He'll be just fine, and I love that he seems to be turning a corner. You look at the last 4 games, actually, because 4 games ago he had 19 points and 6 assists against the Clippers, 8 for 16 shooting. So you throw that into there, from 3, he's 7 for 15 the last 4 games, which is good for 46.6%. Like the last 4 games, he's been phenomenal. So I love it.
Yeah. I still don't understand how often we use him off ball. Like he should be our main ball handler when he's in the game. And especially when Sharp's struggling the last 3 games and he's in with Scoot, we should be running plays where Scoot's controlling the ball and we're moving Sharp off ball to get him a good look. I
don't fully agree, and here's why. You mix it up, right, when you have multiple good guards, so you mix it up. But B, I think him off the ball, right, there was a play in this game where the defense rotated away from him towards the ball, and then they swung the ball to him, and because the defense rotated away, he had a seam to attack, and he attacked it extremely quick. I think he might have gotten to the line. I forget the result of the play, but it was just like the ball swung to him. His defender wasn't in front of him because his defender had rotated towards help side responsibilities, and they swung the ball back to him quick enough where he just had a lane that he could just hit, and he hit full speed, and it ended up, I think, with a good result. And it was if he's off the ball and defenses rotate away from him, it doesn't just have to be catch and shoot. It can be ball rotates to him, and he has a gap that he can attack and get downhill on. So,
or like that one play we talked about earlier where it comes off from the corner, it comes off curls right downhill.
Yeah.
That's nice as well.
Yeah, so I think with him finding ways to be effective off ball, attacking when the ball gets rotated to him, and then still getting those catch and shoot reps and improving that is good for his development. So it might not be the best thing in game, but I do think it's good for him to get reps in different situations, both on and off the ball.
Yeah, of course. I'm not saying he shouldn't be used off ball some. I just feel like he's rarely bringing the ball up some of his stints in the game. He is a point guard.
Yeah. Anyway, time for Tankathon.
Let's go. I have it up.
So Blazers.
I ran it and got 3rd. Beat that.
Okay, let's see. So Golden State wins. So they are actually kind of alone here in 11th place. They're 1.5 games worse than Brooklyn, who's in 12th. That pick would go to Houston. And they're 1.5 games better than Toronto. That pick goes to San Antonio. Look at 4 picks traded in the bottom 5 here, with Houston going to OKC, Brooklyn to Houston, Golden State to Portland, Toronto to San Antonio. But it's really jam-packed from 12 on down through 25, only 3 games of separation there, 3.5 games if you go down to 26. So this picture is going to be a jumbled mess all season. We kind of saw it last year with a lot of teams very competitive. I think you're going to see the same thing this year. Even a team like Atlanta, 10-15, but they can beat good teams any given night. Toronto has some pieces. We'll see if they sell them off, but it's a top, maybe not top heavy, but there's a lot of teams in the middle right now more than ever. We saw that last year. We'll see that this year, and it makes for a fun NBA in my opinion. But Portland there at 4. Let's simulate the lottery and scroll up from the bottom as we usually do. 14 to OKC, 13 Houston, 12. 14 to OKC, 13 Phoenix, and then 12 is Houston, and then 11 is Portland via Golden State, 10 San Antonio, 9 is Atlanta, 8 is Utah.
Chicago moved up.
So Chicago top 4. 7 is Memphis, moving down 2 spots, which means that the next team should be the Portland Trailblazers. And at 6 is your Portland Trailblazers. At 5 is San Antonio. At 4 is Chicago, moving up 4 spots. At 3 is Detroit. At 2 is Washington. At 1 is the Charlotte Hornets.
Damon Myers-Leonard, let's go.
Yep, 6 and 11. The picks the Blazers had in 2012. Hopefully they can recreate that magic with one of them. Hopefully they can get the next Damian Lillard, but hopefully he's a 6'9" forward. Anyway, any prospects that you have any new opinions on, Eric?
Trying to think who I watched. Well, Holland didn't play in the G League game I watched.
Yeah.
Matas played. Yeah, I don't know. I like Vazelis, but I wouldn't take him in the top 5.
And why's that?
I don't think he rebounds okay, I guess, but I don't feel like he does a whole lot other than score. And that's important. I don't know how much he's doing in the NBA, like on the defensive end, and he's not really a facilitator or anything. So like it's good to have a scorer or whatever at that size, but I think that's pretty much all he's going to be. And I wouldn't necessarily value that as much as maybe some of the all-around players. I mean, it might be a situational thing where if you need big man versus a guard or whatever, maybe you take him, but I don't know if he has the frame either to not get pushed around or pushed off his spots and not get a shot off as easy in the NBA.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of out on Almanza. I think he's going to be a decent NBA player, but he's like definitely one of those role player at best type guys. I don't think he's going to be anything more than, like a 5th or 6th option on a team, which is fine. I just probably wouldn't take a guy like that in the top 10 either.
Yeah. Doesn't shoot well enough. With him, like, nothing really separates him from in like any skill department. For me, like, he's not a great athlete. He's not like a amazing passer. He's not like Sengun as a passer. When Sengun was coming into the league, his passing chops really impressed me. Like, defensively, he's solid. Could probably end up being a good NBA defender, but I don't think he's going to be on any all defensive teams or anything like that. He's just solid, which, yeah, is fine. Will probably be a role player, but if you're drafting in the top 10 especially, like, you want a guy with more upside than that. This year's draft may be a little different though, because I don't really see much upside in this year's class.
We've talked about this before, but I watched a Kentucky game. I really like their guards.
Shepard, Wagner, and what's his name? Why am I blanking on his name? Dillingham. Yeah. Dillingham's been good. Yeah.
I think Wagner's getting kind of overshadowed because they have too many guards. They also have what's his name, Reeves or something. That he's
Antonio
like
Reeves.
he's like a senior and he
Yeah.
plays a lot too. So like they have like a lot of guards, you know, obviously 3 mocked in the top 22 on Tankathon here. But I think Wagner is pretty freaking good, but doesn't get a lot of opportunities because of those other guys are have been so good as well.
Yeah, like Kentucky guards when they come to the league have been pretty good. So wouldn't surprise me if the guy like this gets overshadowed, doesn't go lottery, and then blows up. But the problem is in this year's class is it's a lot of guards or role playing forwards.
Mm-hmm.
The key is going to be trying to find that front court player with offensive upside.
Yeah. Bradshaw's finally playing. I thought he did some nice things. He's super skinny though, like he's like super thin.
Yeah.
But if he's truly 7 foot, he's got some intriguing skills. He's pretty quick on his feet. Might be the next like kind of quick jumping switchable big maybe.
Yeah.
If you're looking for that kind of stuff.
On the season too, like.
Yeah, his shot doesn't look too bad, but he doesn't shoot a lot of them, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, Khalil Ware, obviously is. I think he's pretty comfortably in that 10 to 15 range. Interested to see what he measures at as well, but he does a little bit of everything as well.
Filipowski has had some big games this year.
Yeah. He's another one of those guys I don't think I'd take in the lottery. I feel like a lot of his scoring in college is like the way he gets his baskets won't work as well in the NBA. I don't know.
Klingen just had a big game against Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Because Gonzaga is not that good this year, unfortunately. Hate to see it, but that's role player. Filipowski, I guess, might have some offensive upside. I just am not super confident in him becoming a star caliber player.
Yeah.
And then it's just like guard, right? And then you get like Cody Williams is going to go higher than 15. He has some upside as a small forward. But like Ryan Dunn, probably just going to be a defensive, a really good defensive guy, but I don't think he has that level of offensive upside. Not much of a 3-point shooter, not much of a scorer in general, but like athlete, defensive player, intriguing.
It's one of the best defensive prospects in a long time, though.
Yeah. So Justin Edwards, I guess, but he has been struggling so far this year, and he was a guy like preseason I watched when he was like top 5 on a lot of boards. I watched some tape on him, and I did not understand it. I think I mentioned that on a stream too. I didn't understand Justin Edwards being a projected top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Just didn't jump off the page to me. Almansa, like role player, right? And then you got guard, like Klintman. I haven't watched any NBL, but he was a guy who went to Wake Forest last year, then went over to the NBL. Don't know enough about his game to make a comment on upside, but
yeah,
like I'm looking at like this range, right? Like Klintman, Tyler Smith, Salon. Need to do some research on those guys. Like maybe I like the ceiling on one of them. I just haven't watched enough to really know. But yeah, it's like a lot of the forwards up here. I don't love their upside, and like Buzelis taking him top 5 definitely has some question marks. Like Risa Shea, I have questions about his creation. End of the day, like I'm not super high on Ron Holland for like a top 3 pick and like a good draft, but he probably for a wing forward type definitely has the most upside in this class right now.
Casey asked about Kwame Evans from Oregon. Actually, I watched a couple Oregon games, and I kind of liked his skills. Like, he can pass the ball decent. Like, everything was like a little above average with him, and I like players that can do a little bit of everything. But he's not big. If he was tall enough to be a center, I think he'd be a lottery pick. If he was, but I think he needs to lose some weight or something. He's a little too big and slow, I think, to be like a consistently good defender at the 4 in the NBA. And so that's my only drawback for him.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, that is our prospect roundup. And I think that's probably going to do it for the stream. Definitely a lot of stuff to be critical about today regarding the way the Blazers lost this game, man. This was a frustrating finish. They lost, 7 in a row now? 18 out of their last 21 games. There's not much to write home about. The development of Scoot has been promising, but then Chauncey only plays him 22 minutes, only 10 in the first half when he was really having it going. Sat him the final 8:22. Didn't make any sense. I looked at our sub count, noticed we lost like 3 subs during the stream, which I guess is the people who haven't heard us rant quite that way. Saw a couple people earlier saying they unfollowed, which is fine. We call it like it is, and people will either respect it or they won't. If you disagree with it, that is fine. But, it's not like we come on here ranting without trying to put any substance behind our thoughts. We always try and explain why. We always try and think logically. Mm-hmm. Even if it makes us emotional, there's logic behind it. So. And
we're fans, too. We are emotional. Like, I've said this many times, I'm emotional. Sorry.
Yeah,
and I understand if you don't like that. That's fine. You don't have to.
Yeah, we're not gonna hide that. I think it makes for a more entertaining product. A lot of people love our rants. A lot of people, it drives them crazy and they hate it. But whatever, that's fine. We ain't gonna change. Oh well. Oh well. Still pushing for 10,000. We're close. Slightly further away, but we are still grinding for that 10K. Want to see it. Anyway.
I don't know if he's still watching, but I just want to say hi to Justin. Met him at Target today. So
yeah, somebody said they thought they saw you at Target or something. So
someone else. That might have been someone else.
Damn, you just doing fan meetups at Target, huh?
Justin actually came up and said hi and stuff, which I respect. Yeah. I don't know why people say, like, oh, I think I saw you, and then don't say hi. Come on, come say what's up.
Yeah, like one time I got a message, on Instagram. Like, did I see you at this place? I'm like, well, I'm there right now, so, yeah, I just want to say what's up. All right. But, yeah. Yeah. Fan meetups at Target. Absolutely, Tyler. Anyway, that's going to be a wrap for this stream. The Blazers lose 118-114. Thank you to Game Time for sponsoring this postgame show. If you want to get tickets, there's a bunch of home games coming up. They make for a good Christmas present. Use the promo code Uprise for $20 off on Game Time tickets. Thank you to them. And also, if you are in desperate need of a Christmas gift, consider getting yourself or your loved one a Manta sleep mask, as they're another sponsor of ours that provide great high-quality, customizable sleep masks. There's a link in the description box below. If you use the promo code Uprise, you'll get 10% off your Manta sleep mask purchase. They make for really good gifts. So if any of you are stressing out about it, I got the plug for you guys, and it also helps out the channel. Supporting our sponsors is a great way to support us. And anything else, Eric?
Thanks everyone for watching the stream, even if you hate watched. And hope to see you on Blazers Uprise live on our second channel, Blazers Uprise podcast tomorrow. Well, we can talk more about the Blazers. We do our picks against the spread segment. And if you have any questions or anything comes up between now and then, we'll, of course, break it down for you then.
Yep, we'll plug it in the chat. Go subscribe to that second channel. And with that being said, we're out of here. We will catch you guys next time. Have a good rest of your Sunday night and a good Monday. And until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.